Welcome to the Produce or Die podcast. This is a show dedicated to video producers and filmmakers who want to achieve massive creative and financial success. So let's roll. Hey gang, welcome to episode number 8. In this one we're going to talk about sponsorship and how you can use it in your own creative video projects. So the idea behind sponsorship is you partner up with a business or a brand who provides money in exchange for exposure of their products or services within your content. I'm sure that you have an idea of what sponsorship is, and as you probably know, it can come in many different forms. One such way is product placement and integration, which is what you'll see all the time in reality shows. For example, where the contestants are eating Subway for every single meal. And this is one form of sponsorship where in each episode there may have to be at least 3 shots of Subway sandwiches. Or sponsorship may come in the form of pre-roll ads before your content. Or it could be a sponsored by at the top or a logo at the end. Or you could create bespoke content for the business that complements your main content and gives them extra exposure. There are no hard and fast rules, so you could have all of the above or you could have a combination. It's a case-by-case basis. But if it's used in the right way, sponsorship can be a win-win for all of the parties involved. So let's dive into my experience with sponsorship. For me, sponsorship is an exciting concept because we can get paid for making our content. Oh my God. My hands-on experience with sponsorship started when we made a video that went viral. It was around the time when New Zealand had just released The Real Housewives of Auckland, a quite cringy but addictive series from the Housewives franchise. And because everyone was talking about it, Josh and I decided to make a parody episode, but we called it The Real Houseboys of Waiheke, which was basically taking the mickey out of the series, and it was about 2 dumb rich guys living on a beautiful island which is famous in New Zealand for snooty people. And when we shared the video, it spread like wildfire. We were getting notification after notification for 48 hours. People were loving it and they were sharing it. And it was around this time when Donald Trump was first going for presidency, and our video went so viral in New Zealand that we took him down as the main news story, and they even took down Donald Trump's picture and put our one up. It was amazing. So off the back of that, we knew we were onto something, so we thought, why don't we make a full series? We decided that we didn't want this to be on an online platform, but we would release it entirely ourselves on our own social channels. It was then when we had the thought, why don't we get a sponsor on board? We had built an audience, there was a proof of concept, people liked the first episode, and we already had some success with other projects and some momentum behind us. So how did we get a sponsor? Sorry to disappoint, there's no massive secret and there's nothing fancy. We just hustled. We made a proposal when we sent it around, we hit up people on Facebook, and we even posted on local community Facebook pages. However, I have to say that there is one huge lesson that we learned, which came from an interview with the Farrelly brothers, who were talking about making their film Dumb and Dumber, which was their breakout movie, and it also happens to be my favourite. So when they were wanting to make the movie and they were approaching famous actors, they realised that because they weren't successful themselves yet, it was going to be harder than they thought. So at first they would approach actors and they would say, we would like to make this movie, do you want to be in it? And that wasn't working, and they soon realised that if they changed their approach to making it sound like they were already making the movie, then it would be much more attractive. So they would say, this is a movie we're making, it's going ahead, do you want to be in it? It's a subtle difference, but it's crucial because people want to jump aboard a train that's already moving. They'll be able to picture it in their head, and it already feels like it's going to be a success. We had a lot of interest, but we wanted to make sure the sponsor aligned with the type of show that we were going to make. It was going to be a reality/comedy web series, so the sponsor needed to not take itself too seriously, especially because we wanted to push the boundaries a little bit with what we were making. And we ended up getting a sponsor on board who was perfect. The company was called Waiheke Imperial Water, and it was basically expensive water that came from deep underground, and it was bottled up and sold to rich people. The owner was really awesome, and he understood that we'd be taking the mickey a little bit, but he didn't care because he just wanted more exposure for his water company, so it was a perfect fit. So we had found our sponsor. Then we had to work out the nitty-gritty. We had decided on 6 episodes for the series of between 5 to 10 minutes in duration, and we really didn't want to have a heap of product integration in the show. We wanted to maintain complete creative control in terms of the story and the content. So we settled on making pre-roll ads that would play at the start of each episode. At first we were just going to make one ad and use the same one for each of the 6 episodes, but we soon realized that if we could make them funny and different, then it would almost be like the ads were a part of the show. This was a little bit more work than we had anticipated, but we were getting paid well, and we wanted to make sure our sponsor was happy and got good results, and our audience didn't get bored watching the same ad. We also gave permission to the sponsor to share the episodes on their social pages before us, as well as provide them with little snippets of each episode so they could promote the series on their page too. We put everything in a contract, and in general, everything went to plan. Aside from a few small niggles, we maintained our relationship, and these days I'm good friends with the owner who sponsored us. Like most things in life, a good sponsorship is all about maintaining a healthy relationship. There is give and take on both parties, and for us, the key was to set the expectations clearly for both sides before any work began. So that was my first experience with sponsorship. While it went well, I've seen it go wrong time and again with other people. So I've compiled a list of questions that I believe anyone who wants to get a sponsor for their content should ask. Here they are. How much creative control are you willing to sacrifice? Because you will have to compromise if you want to work with a sponsor. What do you have to offer your sponsor? Do you have an audience? Do you have experience in marketing your content? How many views is it likely to get, and what's the target demographic? Does your piece of content align with the values of your sponsor? Does it feel like a nice and natural fit? Does your sponsor have an audience that aligns with yours, or is it completely different? Are they going to enjoy your content, or are they going to think, oh my god, this is terrible, which will reflect badly on the sponsor and obviously badly on you? Who is going to own the content? Is it yours or is it the sponsors, and how long for? Are the sponsors going to be spending any money promoting the content, or is that just your job? And finally, what are their expectations and how will they measure if it's a success? E.g. more engagement or product sales. This needs to be very clearly defined before any work begins. So that's it for this episode. If you have a creative project, then sponsorship can be a great way forward. And the best advice I can give for getting sponsored is make your content as good as possible, because the better storyteller you are and the better content that you have, the easier it will be to get other people to support you and your dreams. Get out there and smash it, and I'll see you in the next one. If you've enjoyed this episode or you want to give me any feedback, hit me up on Instagram at mearle.nz. Laters.